Our podcast is brought to you by We Push Back. In the last few years, a certain genre on social media has been plagued with informants who misrepresent the truth to benefit themselves. They've gone unchecked for far too long. This smoke and mirrors routine is what has plagued the criminal justice system, resulting in many wrongful convictions. We Push Back is about bringing attention to these informants who have little regard for the truth and offering a voice to all those impacted by their lies. This website will work as a united hub, bringing all related information to one portal. We Push Back.
Welcome back to A View From Mulberrey Street. I'm Matthew J. Mary, and I'm your host. Today's our special Thanksgiving week special show. You know, we have a blockbuster ready for you next week, and that's going to be called Respect, one of my favorite subjects, and you're certainly going to enjoy that, and it will be worth waiting for. But this week, we're just going to kind of take it easy and spend our time being thankful. You know, when I say my prayers at night, I always say the Our Father, the Hail Mary, glory be. I say, oh my God, I'm heartily sorry. After that, I thank the Lord for our lives, our health, our freedom. Don't ever take your freedom for granted. Our wealth, and for making me a better person every day. That's something that's kind of hard, but it's happening. Little by little, I'm getting to be a better person every day, thanks to the Lord. And I really mean that. And you know, when I pray for the dead, I pray for the sick, I pray for those who are in trouble or troubled, I pray for the kids, especially my own kids, and I pray for my enemies and my friends. And I'm wishing well to everybody today and thanking everybody for making the show a big success. I think we have about 21 episodes which have been published so far, and I'd really urge anybody who's just coming into being a viewer on the show, go back to episode 1, because those first 10 episodes were very, very, very serious episodes. And then we tried to lighten up a little bit. You know, we had interviews with Frank Morano, Jerry Capisi, Joe Bruno, Murray Richmond, and Gianni Russo. We had a couple of location shows, the San Gennaro Festival. So this week and in the coming weeks, we're going to put our heads together, me and Neil Healy and his son Jack and my son Matthew. I want to thank Jack Healey, Neil's son, for being such a big part of this show. I can't thank you all, but I want to thank you all for your comments. We read them. We can't respond to all of them, but I have to say that we are certainly looking for your comments. And I just want to mention just a couple of people. I want to mention Charlene and Arthur out there in Connecticut, not only for being regular viewers of A View from Mulberrey Street and for calling me every week and giving me a critique of the show and for enjoying the show, but for having listened to my radio show for 8 years. The Matthew Mary Show on WVOX 1460 AM from New Rochelle, New York. And Charlene and Arthur have been a big part of my broadcast life. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank Janet from Juliana's. All right, you've been a solid supporter of mine in every way, and I want to thank you so much. And I want to wish you to get well quickly, and I'll be seeing you very shortly. Before you can say Jack Robinson, I'll be out to see you, and I'll be at your restaurant too, Juliana's on Highland Boulevard. And I want to thank my friend Gerard from the New York Post. Gerard, I know that you are one of my loyal viewers, and that you spread the word as much as you can. And you know, you're typical of the guys from the old neighborhood, from the New York Post and Knickerbocker Village, who really make this show worth doing. Just to reach you guys makes me so happy, and I get a lot of feedback. I get a lot of positive feedback that I want to thank everyone for. And while I'm giving out individual thank yous, last but not least is certainly Dominic Crea from We Push Back, who's a good man, who's a good friend, and a great supporter of ours. And I want to thank you, Dominic, for helping us at the beginning of this show to kind of show us a path on how to do it, as well as supporting us while we've been broadcasting. We Push Back. Thank you, Dominic. I want to thank Nikki from Danico. I'll be over there to eat in your restaurant very soon. Let's see. Well, I can't thank everybody, but I want to just express my thankfulness because it took a long time to get this show on the air. We struggled with the format, what it would be, what we would talk about, how far can we go. And I promise you that in the future, we are going to stretch it a little bit. We're going to go as far as we can without revealing any confidences. All right, I can't do that, but we're gonna revisit a lot of the subjects from our first 10 episodes and maybe give you a little bit more details about those famous figures that you're so interested in, like Carmine Galante and Carmine Persico and Tommy Karate. That was a great episode, and I just urge everybody this week, if you can, if you haven't seen all 22 episodes, and if you enjoy this program, go back and try to see them all, because it's worthwhile doing. And as I said, for the future, we're certainly going to be brainstorming. We're going to be brainstorming, and we're going to try our best to draw a path for the future that's going to be diverse. Maybe we're going to try doing a few short shows and see how that works. And I can assure you of one thing, that we're committed to putting out a podcast that's different than any other podcast in this genre. And I want to also let all of you know that I'm thankful for all the feedback that I've been getting from some of the people who've been mentioned on the show, and some of the people who know the stories, the true stories, and who enjoy how we present ourselves here on Mulberry Street. And now, as Jimmy Durante used to say, everybody wants to get into the act. And my partner, Neil Healy, is no exception to that rule. Neil is always trying to push himself onto the show. And I scratch my head and I say, Neil's an Irish kid from Queens. He moved to La La Land 50 years ago. He's been in L.A. for 50 years. He don't know anything about mobsters. I'm the closest thing to a mobster I think he knows. But anyhow, Neil is primarily responsible for this show becoming alive. It was just a thought, and a confused thought. And one day, I met with Neil years ago in the Parkside restaurant, and we talked about doing a lot of different projects. And finally, a couple of years ago, Neil just called me out of the blue, and he said, Matt, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do a podcast. And we sat down, we talked about it, and we put it together. And I'm very thankful to Neil Healy for putting this show together, being my producer and director, and for being my partner on the show. Neil has had a long career as an executive producer, a director, a writer, and an editor. He and I met at Xavier High School, and he then went to Georgetown University, another Jesuit school. I went to Fordham. And then I went to New York Law School, and Neil went to San Francisco Art Institute. Oh my God, what the heck is that? Well, anyhow, he graduated from the American Film Institute with a master's degree a long time ago. He has won 2 Emmys, all right? He's been involved in a broadcasting career that has taken him to jobs with ABC television. He covered the Democrat and Republican conventions. He covered the Olympics. He was involved in Monday Night Football, okay? So Neil founded his company called Overnight Edit. Overnight Edit. That's his company. That's what he does. He does editing for people. And Neil has taken his time, and I mean a lot of time, to really make this show a success. So, before I sign off and say this is another View from Mulberry Street and wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, I want to turn it over to my partner, Neil Healy, out there in sunny California.
So let's celebrate. I'm feeling great.
Well, thanks for that introduction, Matt. Jimmy Durante was quite a hero of mine as well, and I would definitely want to get into the act. I think it's been a great podcast so far, and I'm so thankful for everyone who's watching. There's a lot of people I want to thank myself for this podcast. It's you, the viewer, and the listener. It's also the people who are sponsoring us, We Push Back and others coming on board. The real reason I got into this, Matt's an old friend of mine, always respected what he did, but what I really enjoy and want to pay tribute to is my father, who was a criminal attorney just like Matt in New York City, in Queens, Brooklyn, and Lower Manhattan himself, trying cases all over the place when I was a young man, a young boy, and I was right by him, going to the courtroom and supporting him. I know how tough it is to support people, even though the decks are stacked against them, and it's so important to do that, that I pay tribute to the men and women who do this on a daily basis. They are essential to the country and how our government works. Particularly, I want to thank Matt for being open to the suggestion of doing this podcast, and his family, his wife, his daughter, his son, all great people. Matt Jr. has been essential in giving us good ideas on how things work. My son, Jack Healey, has given us design features and filmmaking features that have helped. It's a joint effort. And I'm married to a beautiful woman who is a native Californian. We have 2 kids and a very happy life here. So our show has a long reach from New York to California and in between. So future sponsors and future guests know that they're going to have an audience all over the country. That's our goal. And so far, we're on track to deliver. Again, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you soon as the holidays approach. Be ready for more exciting podcasts from Matt Mary's View from Mulberry Street.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you for those remarks, and thank you for being my partner. And this is Matthew J. Mary again saying, Happy Thanksgiving. This is A View from Mulberry Street.